Good afternoon, class. Welcome to my tutorial on solving a two-step equation word problem, which was created by me, Mr. Ruzeski. Now, the first thing to do is to identify the important information. And you do this by starting with the original problem and pulling out the information. So if we look at the original problem, we're going to use the cooking club made some pies to sell at a basketball game to raise money for the new math books. The cafeteria contributed 4 pies to the sale. Each pie was then cut into 5 pieces and sold. There was a total of 60 pieces to sell. How many pies did the club make? Now, after we identify the information needed, we look at each sentence. The cooking club made some pies to sell at the basketball game to raise money for new math books. Now, does that part include anything that we need to create an equation to solve this problem? And no, it doesn't, so it's not important. So we're going to remove that. And now we look at the next sentence. The cafeteria contributed 4 pies to the sale. And that is important, so we're going to keep that. And then we know each pie was cut into 5 pieces and sold. That's also important. And there were a total of 60 pieces to sell. And how many pies did the club make? Which is our essential question. So that is the most important part. Now, why is that information important? If we look at the first sentence, the cafeteria contributed 4 pies to the sale. That's telling us to add 4. Then each pie was then cut into 5 pieces and sold. That tells us you have to multiply each pie by 5. And then the next sentence, there was a total of 60 pieces to sell, tells us the equation has to equal 60. Now, how many pies did the club make? That's important because it tells us the variable, which is going to be the amount of pies. And so, instead of using pies in our equation, let's let P represent pies. Next, we have to set up the equation. We know the amount of pies times 5 equals 60. So we have the equation, the quantity P plus 4 times 5 equals 60. Now remember, we have to use P to represent the amount of pies made by the cooking club, and then add the 4 pies given by the cafeteria. We use the parentheses because we want to multiply the total amount of pies by 5. Now, to solve the equation, first you have to start with the original equation that we came up with. Quantity P plus 4 times 5 equals 60. Next, we need to use the distributive property and get 5P plus 20 equals 60. After that, we need to subtract 20 from each side of the equation. From there, we simplify it to get 5P equals 40. Next, we need to divide each side of the equation by 5. And we simplify again to get our final answer of 8. So right now, we're pretty sure that 8 is the correct answer. However, we need to justify our answer. And justifying is just a fancy word for saying check your answer. And to do that, we just simply put 8 in for the variable into our original equation and solve it. So we go back to our original equation, and then we substitute 8 in for P. So if you notice between the two, they're exactly the same, except instead of P, we now have 8. Now we simply solve using the order of operations. 8 plus 4 is 12, and then we keep the times 5 equals 60. Next, we multiply 12 times 5, and we get 60, and 60 equals 60. So, that's good. Now, since 60 equals 60, that means our answer is correct without a doubt. And that is the steps you use in solving a two-step word problem equation.